All right, guys, what's going on? Welcome in. So pads are officially on at New York Jets training camp, which means contact, right? And this is where things really start to pick up, right? Because this, it's just one step closer to football, one step closer to, I guess, maybe real football. With preseason quickly approaching. I mean, it's right on the horizon here. August 10th is the Washington Commanders game. Today is July 29th. Okay, so things are really picking up. Now, supposedly today during practice, the offense struggled. And, let's be honest, a lot of us expected that because pads came on. We had, guys dropping passes. We had Joe Tippmann having some poor snaps. A part of that is, okay, contact is coming. Right, so did Lazard hear footsteps, on a dropped pass? Is Tippmann one step ahead in his mind about how he's going to attack these defenders that are going to be bull rushing him in, as opposed to focusing on the prerequisite, the actual snap? So this was expected, and I would probably see the offense maybe struggle for one or two more days, and then things will start to even back out again. I mean, obviously we saw the offense freaking dominate really throughout the first week of training camp. We had multiple players stepping up with Braylon Allen and Garrett Wilson, Rodgers. I mean, the list goes on. But again, the defense seemed to win the day. But before we dive into the practice here, any update from Haason Reddick? No. Admittedly, I was hopeful last night going to sleep. I know I said this last week, but I just feel like the deal has got to get done at some point in time. But I was thinking end of the weekend, start of the new week, pads are coming on. And the report that we had from Josina Anderson, I think it was actually over the weekend, which highlights Hassan Reddick's contract, or not Hassan Reddick's contract individually or specifically, but more so any player that falls under this umbrella. Let's take a look at it quickly. She says, holdout note, the Jets' sixth day of training camp is Monday. Under the collective bargaining agreement, Article 4, Section 9, a player who's missed 6 preseason days from the start of camp may be required to forfeit up to 15% of his forfeitable salary allocations for that year and an additional 1% of said total for each additional day missed after that, up to a maximum of 25% during the preseason. It's important to note that the above penalty for breach of contract is separate from the daily $50,000 fine that's mandatory for missing camp on a veteran contract. I think the key word here is may, right? When she says a player who's missed 6 preseason days from the start of camp may be required to forfeit the 15%. So nothing is set in stone here, but again, it's just one more, hurdle isn't maybe the best word because it's like a negative thing here, but it's just one more maybe checkpoint for Haason Reddick in his camp. Like if he's not showing up for voluntary OTAs, that's one thing. Okay, now mandatory minicamp, that's another. Now for the start of training camp, that's another. Now for this, we're just, inching further and further down this line. And it was interesting because Josina Anderson had a report literally the same weekend suggesting that Reddick and the Jets were progressing, right? There was some positivity there. So again, I think it's going to get done at some point, but man, this holdout it's turning into a pretty big distraction in my opinion. Something that just isn't simply going away. So we'll see how it plays out, but again, Hassan Reddick not in camp. Now, as far as some of the injured players go, Mike Williams was out there running around in his jersey, playing catch, of course not, fully practicing or anything, but it's good to see a guy coming off of a lower body injury, an ACL injury last season, sustained early on in the regular season, out there moving around. It's one thing if the status is completely up in the air and Mike Williams is taking steps backwards or there's just no update there, but it really feels as though, of course, matched with the Samini report suggesting that Mike Williams is actually ahead of schedule. He's kind of moving at a steady clip here. It's all positive stuff. All positive stuff here from Mike Williams, which is great. Morgan Moses, on the other hand, still not participating. Tyron Smith, though, was out there. But looking at the practice, again, supposedly the offense really struggled. Rodgers threw an interception, which actually wasn't, according to Zach Rosenblatt, it wasn't necessarily his fault. Threw a pass over the middle of the field, bounced off of Allen Lazard's hands and into Chuck Clark's hands. We can talk about Rodgers getting sacked numerous times. Jeremy Ruckert actually limped off the field at one point, ended up returning, which is a positive sign. But supposedly Joe Tippmann really struggled with snapping the football. Aaron Rodgers was pissed. Rodgers got his foot stepped on during a handoff, and he was pissed about that. And he was also inaccurate. I think it was Connor Hughes that reported that at one point Rodgers just sailed the pass right over Malik Taylor's head and missed a couple other guys. So again, tough day, but it is what it is. This is why training camp is here. First day of contact. So, again, it's one thing if you're an offensive player and if you guys played like wide receiver or running back or any of these offensive positions before in the past, if defenders can't hit you, you're going to be playing a lot more loose, a lot more. You're going to have that extra sense of security. But now all of a sudden when they can hit you and they can not necessarily tee off on the offensive players, because it's not like, guys like Chuck Clark and DJ Reed, they're going to go low and try to attack Garrett Wilson or anything like that. Of course, it's still not, the contact reminiscent of a regular season game, but it's a different game. It's a different animal, right? When the defense, they're allowed to hit you. So again, fully expected here. I'm not really too worried about it. The snaps, maybe a bit concerning how pissed Rodgers was, but I want my quarterback in a win now season getting pissed, right? If I was a Ravens fan, I would want that from Lamar Jackson. If I was a Eagles fan, from Jalen Hurts, Bills, Josh Allen, Chiefs, Pat Mahomes, I don't want it to be, oh yeah, everything's cool. We can keep on having bad snaps. We could keep on sailing passes over, guys' heads. We could keep on dropping passes, and eventually things will work out. I want that full 100% fire every single practice, because truly I think that's how these well-ran, these playoff teams continue to make strides. There needs to be that high standard within these organizations that have double-digit wins projected on their schedule, because if you don't have that high standard, then things start to slip. So anyway, let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. Thanks so much for watching. I appreciate it. And as always, and hopefully we get some sort of Reddick update soon. And by update, I mean contract solution, extension, reworked 1-year deal. I just want to see Reddick in camp. And, I've said this a couple times, but in the event that the Jets, like, Reddick is going to be here, like, he has to play. Like, it's not like he can go suit up for another team or anything like that. I mean, I guess theoretically he could hold out the season, but, would he actually go that far? I'm not sure. We've seen Le'Veon Bell do that before. I think the Jets would be fine in the hypothetical that we just don't have Haason Reddick. But I think with Hassan Reddick, the Jets are a different beast. The defense is a different beast. To add an elite pass rusher like that is, like, not to hype him up, not to be over dramatic, but that is a game changer. Like, Hassan Reddick is that caliber of a player, or at least up to this point, what we've seen over the last 4 seasons, it's been freaking fantastic. So to have a guy like that rushing off the edge with the amount of talent on the defensive line, with the amount of speed and athleticism and instincts behind Reddick in the pass rushers, the defensive IQ with guys like Quincy Williams and CJ Mosley and Chuck Clark and Gardner, like, this defense, like, it. Again, I don't want to sound like a homer here, but I really envision this Jets defense being a top 3 unit in football. Like, that's just honestly how I feel. So anyway, let me know your thoughts down below. Thanks so much for watching. I appreciate it. And as always, go Jets.